yes, baby. Oh, boy. Oh, look at this quick shifter. Oh, man. This. Just bought this brand new 2024 KTM 690 SMCR Supermoto. As a lot of you know, I also own a 2019 YZ450FX that I converted into a street legal Supermoto. I've had that since 2018. So I've had a lot of experience with that bike, and this is my very first big bore 690 here. A lot of you guys probably want to know, is this bike better than a 450 Supermoto or vice versa? I'm going to keep it real in this video. I'll tell you. Stay tuned.
Let's go for a ride. Subscribe today.
If you want to get my gear like this ultra lightweight carbon fiber helmet, motovlog camera, airbag vest to help keep you safe, all of my gear, I always include links in the description and comment section. My YZ450FX that I converted into a custom street legal Supermoto, that bike is a race dirt bike that is not intended for street use, okay? That's something I converted it into a street bike. It is a wild animal. As a lot of you guys know, 450s are extremely powerful, more powerful than you'll actually realize until you try one for yourself. Now these 690s here, obviously this is a production bike, street bike here, made for the street, so obviously it's going to be a lot smoother, tamer, but this has more power. This has what does it have? They claim 74 horsepower and 54 pounds-feet of torque, but obviously a lot less at the rear wheel, but it's still about 13 more horsepower than my YZ and about 16 pounds-feet more torque than the YZ. So it's still more powerful than my YZ, but my YZ only weighs 266 pounds wet versus this at a whopping 354 pounds. So 85 plus pounds more than my YZ. But this has a much bigger tank too. This has a 3.6 gallon tank versus a 2.2 gallon tank on my YZ. And my YZ is just, it's stripped down. It's got nothing. It's got no emissions crap on it, none of that stuff. And it has a race dirt bike engine that's very high maintenance, that you have to do oil changes and valve checks in hours. Like you have to change the oil every 12 hours or so. This one, you can do oil changes every 6,000 miles, okay? This is a much bigger engine here. It's a single cylinder as well. This is big bore, but it holds a lot more oil. So you can go very long intervals without doing a oil change on this bike. Super low maintenance. That's why I bought it. Okay, something that I don't care about doing oil changes. I can go ride across the country without doing a freaking oil change, man. That's the beauty about this bike. It's a multi-purpose bike. I can make this a lightweight adventure bike. I can do a dual sport bike, a Supermoto. I could take this to the track. You could do so many things with this bike, and I'm going to be putting on some Shinko 705 ADV tires that I've had on my YZ 450FX since 2018 that are bulletproof. I've never gotten stuck in the mud off-road. I'm able to do dual sporting on that. These street tires are not. I'm not even going to attempt to go off-road with those, man, because they will get stuck in mud. The 450 and this 690 are two completely different bikes, that are in the same category. But I'm going to tell you some more about it. Let's get on this 690. Let's go for a ride. And I'll tell you some more things between the bikes and what bike I would choose between these bikes. But ultimately, you guys need to know, have an informed decision about both bikes, and make the decision on what you want. In my opinion, I think you should get both bikes. Both bikes, baby. Okay. That's the best, but everybody doesn't have the finances to be able to cover two bikes. But I'll tell you one thing that's great about these Supermotos is that they're very cheap to insure. This brand new bike here is like $198 for a whole year, and my YZ I pay $120 a year, full coverage, with like zero deductibles. I mean, with a $300,000 limits on it, man. I mean, I don't pay nothing hardly for insurance on these bikes. So these bikes are great in that aspect, and they're fun for street riding. These are the most fun bikes. I mean, they take corners like nothing, dude. These things are just so amazing on the street. And I'm telling you, them sport bikes, even though they look beautiful, I've had them, the super bikes. Man, it's the biggest waste, I'm telling you. And you put your life at risk doing triple-digit speeds. And really, it gets kind of lame just going fast on them, man. And it's a lot more fun whipping these Supermotos around the corners. And I guarantee I could probably whip a lot of these super bike riders in the twisties on with this bike, because these bikes you can damn near touch the bar to the ground going around a corner without low siding on these bikes, man. You can take them insanely low. These are just amazing bikes, man. But I'll tell you this, guys, the YZ's power is different. Even though I have a 42 teeth rear sprocket on that YZ, and the front sprocket is a stock 13 tooth, okay, even with the 42 tooth rear sprocket, I could literally crank the throttle without doing a clutch up, and it will pull the wheelie. It will just power wheelie up, because it has all that, so much torque is at the bottom of the rev range. I think on the dyno, that YZ comes in at something like 54 horsepower and like 38 pounds-feet of torque, or 32 or something like that pounds-feet of torque. But you can't look at the numbers on that bike. It's how it's tuned. That bike has got all that torque at the bottom, boy. And in the mid-range, it is a very fun bike. And it's actually very good on the highway, believe it or not. This bike is better, obviously better on the highway. It's got more top-end power. But it's got the weight, you know, to keep it more stable and super high winds, even though I do just fine on the highway with the YZ. But I can't go tour across the country on the YZ. I'm always thinking about oil changes with that bike and how much I can ride. This bike, I ain't got to worry about no oil changes. I can just have fun, ride this all day, ride it all around everywhere, man. But the YZ is a much more violent motorcycle, like I've told you in many videos. It's adrenaline inducing. Like you get like this one, it's smooth, it's fast, it's a quick bike, but it's smooth power. Like that one is just like it's just violent. Like when you crank that throttle on the 450, it's like oh boy, woo! This bike has got more soul, I'll tell you that. If the wheel pops up, like, I mean, it's just violent, boy. But this bike, you crank the throttle, that front wheel's coming up on this one. This ain't no slouch, don't get me wrong, man. But that YZ's got that crazy animal torque at the bottom, boy. And also it's so lightweight, it feels like the power to weight ratio on the 450 is just absolutely insane. I mean, it's pretty good on this bike too, don't get me wrong, but the 450, 266 pounds, boy, it feels like a rocket mountain bike, man, with crap loads of torque. It's just an amazing bike. But like I said, you can't ride a sucker all day, every day, you know what I'm saying? It's a dessert bike. This bike I can enjoy riding out here in the country, ride all day long, and like I said, I'm not worried about oil changes and that. But you know, another thing with the YZ is that it's pure motorcycle, and that it has no emissions, crap, anything. It's not legally, really, in most states, it's not legal on the streets. But I got it. A lot of you guys asked me why I didn't get the WR450F. That comes with the headlight, you know, it's 5-speed, wide ratio gearbox, like my YZ450FX and all. And it has the green sticker or whatever for, you know, riding off-road or whatnot. Like, why did you get that? Most people convert a WR450F. Most people don't do what I did, converting a YZ450FX. But the reason why I did the FX is because it has no emissions crap. The WR450F, even though it is an off-road bike, it has emission stuff on it, man. And also you can't tune the power on the smartphone like you can on the YZ, because that one, it can keep track of maintenance through the app, but you can't tune the power like you can the FX version. And the YZ450FX is basically the motocross bike. It's a YZ450F, basically, that has a 5-speed wide ratio gearbox and an 18-inch rear wheel. That's pretty much, it's the same bike. If you look at them on the dyno, it's exact same power numbers as the motocross version.
Another reason to get a YZ instead of a WR450F is the YZ has a stiffer suspension for motocross track, which translates better on the street as opposed to the WR450F's soft suspension for woods riding, which sucks on the street. So you'll end up putting more money in a WR when you can just buy a YZ off the shelf that's way better and cheaper in the long run.
So that's what you get. The WR450F is a bit tamed down. You have to mod it. And why would you spend more money when you for a couple $100 more you get a FX? It makes no sense. And if you live in Ohio, they're very easy to make street legal. Now, if you're in a state where it won't let a YZ be street legal, then you do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, if you force me to have to choose between the YZ and this bike, on which bike that I enjoy more, have more fun on, I would have to say the YZ, because the YZ, I could take it off-road, and it's so lightweight. It's just, you can throw it around off-road in the woods like nothing, man. It's just like, it's a proper it's a dirt bike. This bike is not really made to be taken off-road, but it can be. You know what I'm saying? 85 plus pounds and more in weight, is taxes you off-road. You can't get too cute with this off-road. You can do some light off-road stuff with this, but you can't get crazy like I can on my YZ450FX. So, but, you know what I'm saying? But this bike, like I said, can do everything. So if I had to choose just one and say, man, which bike you have the most fun, the YZ all day, baby, all day. But you got to have both of these. You got to have this bike too, though, so you can. This one you can ride all the time, and that one you can jump on occasionally and just go crazy with. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, if you can afford it, guys, and you can pick up some of them used, dirt bikes pretty cheap, I would highly recommend that you convert it. You get a 450 and you convert it to a Supermoto, but get this bike too, if you can get a discount on it. Woo! Thing rips, boy. I'm telling you, this thing, woo, it cooks. It cooks. And it feels like on the top end, it definitely faster than my YZ, but my YZ tops at about 105 on the highway. And this bike, I have yet to do a top speed. I'm not trying to get a ticket, but they say it can do about 124. I think it's about similar to the MTL7. But overall, I have to say, both bikes are fantastic in their own way. The YZ is just, like I said, if you're a hooligan, and a lot of you younger folks out there that still, have that wild oats in you, and you really need some craziness in your life, 450, baby. But if you're a little bit more mature, even if you're younger and you're more mature, you're not really into the hooligan craziness and stuff like that, and you just want to chill, but you want to rip the throttle, feel that power, be able to mess around a little bit off-road, 690 is perfect for you, man. Absolutely. Both bikes are perfect for you guys, but for the youngsters, the 450, baby. If you're wild. Yeah, baby. Look like we got a speed camera right there, so I'm gonna take it real easy around these parts. We out here in the country, baby. But anyways, guys, leave a comment below. Let's talk about it. For those of you guys that have ridden a 450 dirt bike, Supermoto, and a 690, tell me your experience. Or for those of you that have never rode either bike and you want more information on this, you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. I'm still learning this bike. I'm going to be doing a build series on this bike. I'm going to be modding this bike, so I'll probably be opening it up a bit more where it'll give me more of that grunt. probably still, no matter what I do to this bike, it's still not going to be on the level of the YZ as far as grunt. But that's to be expected because this is a street bike. But anyways, guys, leave a comment below. Let's talk about it. Make sure to hit thumbs up. It helps my channel. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that little bell symbol so you get notified when my new videos release. But I release new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until next time, I'll catch you guys later.